Good morning, Year 5, and welcome to your Tuesday maths lesson. Here is today's date and learning objective for your book. Today we're going to recognise and extend number sequences. Can you have a go at your flashback 4, please? Pause the video and come back when you are ready. To help you to find fraction equivalents, I've reminded you that whatever you multiply the top and the bottom by must be the same. On the last one, to find out the value of the 4, I put a place value grid to help you think about the value. Pause, come back to me when you've done. Here are the answers. Number 1 is 11 quarters. Number 2, so long as you multiply the top and the bottom by the same, you will get an equivalent fraction. Here are 3 examples. Number 3, 1,472. The value of the 4 is 40,000. And the time, it's not got past the 7, it's after the 6, so it's 6 and 35 minutes past the 6:35, and you can see it in 24-hour clock. Let's move on to today's learning. We're going to recognise and extend number sequences linked to our work on improper fractions and mixed numbers. To help us, let's do some getting ready. Number 1, how many terms are shown in this sequence? Terms means how many numbers can you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you should have said that there are 5 terms. Terms in a number sequence is how many are there. As you might have recognised, these are familiar numbers from our 3 times table. Number 2, what is the rule for this next sequence? So you have to look at each term and think, what do I do to this term to get to the next one? What would I do to 32 to get to 16? Well, there are 2 possibilities. I could divide by 2, that would make 16, or I could subtract 16 to get to 16. If we're not sure which one, we check by going to the next one. Does halving work? 16 divided by 2? No, it would be 8, so that can't be the rule. The other option was subtract 16. Does that work? Yes, it does. So the rule for this sequence is subtract 16. And the number 3 sounds posh, but it's actually really, really easy. So it says, what is the next consecutive integer after 19? Now we should recognise the word integer from previous learning. It means whole number. And consecutive means what comes straight after it. So what is the next whole number straight after 19? That's easy. 20. So the next consecutive integer after 19 is 20. Let's apply that learning into our work on number sequences. Now here you can see a number line. 1 1/4, 1 2/4, and I've got 3 gaps, and I've got to fill those gaps. You can see under the number line, I've built the bar models to help me show and recognise what's going on. So I have 1 whole 1, remembering it's split into quarters, and then the next I've drawn another bar with 1/4. On the next one, 1 whole 1, split into quarters, and the next one, 1 bar, and I have 2 of those pieces. So what would come next? We'll be recognising that to get from here to here, I'm adding 1 more of those quarters. So the rule here is that we're going to add a quarter each time as we jump along the number line. So 1 2/4, if I draw it, I draw the same and draw 1 more piece, and I should see that that's 1 whole bar and 3/4. Well done if you spotted that. What will happen on the next one? If I do 1 more quarter, you should see that I now have 2 full bars. Do I record that as 1 full bar and 4 quarters? No, we record that as 2 whole bars. And then I draw again. So when I've filled those bars, I draw another set of 4 and shade 1 in. So I can see I have 2 whole 1s and 1/4. Did you spot here that 2/4 is one of our equivalent fractions? What could we change that to make it simpler? Can you see on here that the bar, half of it is filled. So it's 1.5. Let's have a look at this. This is a bit more tricky to think about because this time I don't give you the next one, the next consecutive number in the sequence. But underneath I've drawn the bars to help us think about what is happening. So let's have a think. To get from here to the next one that's filled in, what have I added? 1 2/3, 2 2/3. What's the same and what is different? Look at what we have in our drawings. What's the same and what's different? You should spot that there is one more whole one here. To get from here to here, we've added one more whole one. So the answer to get from here to here is one whole one, but that is not the rule for the sequence. How many jumps have I made to get from here to here? 1, 2, 3 jumps. So from here to here, if I've got this whole one split into 3 jumps, one whole one divided by 3 is thirds. So I add 1/3, and you can see I've shaded it in, and I can see there that now I have 2 whole ones. I draw it again, now I add one more third, so that's 2 2/3. Does it work adding one more third? I shade one more in, and I land correctly on this jump. Therefore, I know I did it correctly. Here, I've got from here to here, I've shaded one more in, and you should see that that is 3 whole ones. Then we have 3 1/3 and 3 2/3. Well spotted. Now remember, you can use this method of drawing underneath your bars to help you at any point in your learning today. Let's have a look at this number line. Now across the top, we're going to have the improper fraction going up. Across the bottom, you can see that we're going to change it into mixed numbers. So I have got consecutive numbers on my number line. Let's have a look. What would I add to 5 9ths to get to 7 9ths? From there to there, I've added 2 9ths. And here, it's still 2 9ths. So my rule is that I'm going to be adding 2 9ths. 7 add 2 is 9 9ths. And we know that that's correct because 9 9ths is the same as 1 whole, and it's in the same position as 1 whole one on our mixed number line. I'm going to do 9 9ths, and I'm going to add another 2 9ths. 9 add 2 makes 11 9ths. And we know that that matches here. 1 times 9 is 9, add 2 is 11 9ths. Pause the video and think what would come next on our number line. Let's have a look. 11 add 2 is 13, add 2 is 15, add 2 is 17, add 2 is 19, add 2 is 21. It's easy once we know the rule. So for our improper fractions, that continuation is easy. Here, let's think what would go on this section. Well, 1 2 9ths, add 2 is 4 9ths, add 2 is 6 9ths, add 2 is 8 9ths. But then if I add 2 more to 8, I get to 10 9ths. And can we have that in a mixed number? No, we cannot. We cannot have a numerator that's larger than the denominator. So I have a 9 9ths within that, which will make it into 2 whole ones with 1 left over. So it's 2 whole ones and 1 9th. We could look at that and say how many 9s in 19? There are 2 9s in 19 because it gets us to 18 with 1 more left over. And here we just add another 2, so it's 2 3 9ths. Your turn to have a go at questions 1 to 3 on the worksheet. I'd like you to record that, please, nice and neatly in your book, remembering you can come back to the fraction wall at any point to help you. Lay it out like this. So for number 1, I'd like you to cut and stick neatly into your book and draw smartly in the gaps that are provided. If you prefer to do this by drawing in your book, please do so. On number 2, I'd like you to switch to drawing in your book, please, shown as below. And you can see I've left 3 squares in between just so it's easy to read. I've done number 2A for you to help you get started. Continue to lay your work out neatly in your book till you get to the end of question 3. When you've done that, come back to me. Let's have a look at this sequence. 6 and 1/11, 5 and 8/11. We're getting smaller. But by how much? By 4/11. If I take one of these away, it gets me down to 6 whole ones. To get from 6 whole ones down to 8, I've taken off another 3. So the 1 I took off originally and 3 more that I took off leaves me with 4/11 that I take off. So the answer is 5 and 8/11. Take away 4 more, we get to 5 and 4/11. Take away 4 more, have a think, it's 5 whole ones, and take away 4 more. What's 11 take away 4? Correct, 7. So I've got 4 whole ones and 7/11. What's the rule for this sequence? You can see we found it here with our consecutive numbers. It's 4/11. Here, be careful. The first number is 11 whole ones and the last is 10 whole ones. Tiny says there are 3 boxes, the missing fractions are thirds. Is he correct? How many jumps is it from here to here? The first term and the 5th term are consecutive integers. That means they follow each other as whole numbers and they're getting less. To get from here, 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3 jumps, 4 jumps. So actually on my number line from here on 11, we've gone 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3 jumps, 4 jumps. So actually we're splitting our whole one, which is this, into 4 parts. So each one is a quarter. And remember, we're getting smaller, so we're taking it away. You might find it easier to work from there and go up. So that'd be 10 and a quarter, 10 and 2 quarters, 10 and 3 quarters. Let's have a look. Well done. The rule for this sequence, we're taking away, aren't we? We're getting smaller. So we're subtracting 1 quarter. Can you see one we could adapt? Yes, 2 quarters, remember, is equivalent to 1/2. I'd like you to have a go at questions 4 to 6 on the worksheet, and I'll show you how I'd like you to record that in your book. For these ones, you may choose to record them by sticking in, or you may choose to lay it out neatly in your book. It's up to you. For those that are ready for additional challenges at the end, here are the red level challenges, those really hot ones. I've shown you what they were, and they're in your pack, and I've given you some sentence starters to help you record your answers in your book. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing you for tomorrow's maths lesson. Goodbye.